Hello everyone, welcome to the first Global Dialogue for Justice, a hybrid world forum dedicated to engaging people globally about the most pressing issues we are facing in the world today. First, I'd like to wish you a wonderful day or night and hope that you are staying safe from the coronavirus wherever you are. The centerpiece of the Global Dialogue for Justice is raising awareness about the sufferings inflicted upon the innocents, the victims of brutality, racism, inequality, repression, imprisonment, torture, rape, and the old and new forms of slavery and genocide. People around the world are calling for justice, and the global community have an obligation to respond. Through this World Forum, we will do our part by examining the apathy and complacency of the international community for demanding accountability from brutal regimes and ruthless leaders toward putting an end to the injustices and heinous crimes against humanity. Finally, this courageous project is dedicated for providing space for critical and complicated conversations while bringing our communities together one global dialogue for justice at a time. I'm Dr. Merj Hemp. I hold a bachelor's and master's degree in communication studies and PhD in curriculum and instruction, minor in educational learning technologies from New Mexico State University. My research interest includes the multiple perspectives about how people see the world and life in the context of post 9/11 era. The current focus of my scholarly explorations are global community engagement in critical multimedia production. I publish my scholarly contributions through multimedia platforms that include podcasts, live streaming, and film. I'm honored to be a part of a growing number of scholars globally who are fully committed to exploring and adding more resources and choices to the things we do to make a difference in our community, our society, and the world. My audience are those people who's really young during 9/11, and I want to hear what they think about the world and life post 9/11. It's a little bit emotional for me to be able to come here in New York City and film. Sorry. On 9/11, I saw the towers collapse, watching it on television, and my life have never been the same. I realized that there are many things I didn't know about my community, about my country, and about the world.
There is a sense of sadness when you walk over there and you see the footprints of where the original two towers stood.
You know, you don't really learn much about it other than these lives need to be remembered and the troops need to be remembered who are over fighting in Iraq, or they're not fighting anymore, but
They're still there. I mean,
I guess.
Basically, I think we, as humans, we became a little bit too concerned about our own problems and not what is actually happening out there.
When you look at me, you don't see a disabled veteran, but this is 9/11 changed the face of what disabled veteran is. It's now me. It's now the person next door. It's the young person.
The movie is not about 9/11 proving or disproving something. It is a tribute to those people who gave their lives saving others on 9/11. It is a movie about people and the world in the post 9/11 era. The documentary Beyond the Shadow of September was filmed in 10 countries, having important conversations with people from some of the major cities in the world. But today, I would like to share the perspectives highlighted in the film that I hope can add to our understanding of the urgency for people and communities to step up and find the courage to have their voices heard. We are trying to explore the complacency and the apathy of people and communities. And we ask questions where the countries that they claim to be neutral, that they claim to advocate for human rights. And some people are questioning, where are they? Where are the voices of these countries that supposed to advocate for people who are victims of human rights abuses that's going on right now?
So Erdocide started in January 2018, and that was the direct result of the CNN documentary that we saw in November 2017 about a brother and sister being enslaved in Libya. So there was a lot of movement in Paris in front of the Libyan embassy, lots of movement in London in front of the Libyan embassy, and we went there and we protested and we stopped the traffic, and then unfortunately everybody went back to sleep. I thought, I cannot do that. I am fed up of the brother and sister making noise just for a day, 2 days, a month, and then everybody go back to their everyday life. I thought, I'm working with artists, let's start a song challenge. So we started the I'm Not For Sale song challenge. Extras agreed to start up the challenge.
Please set them free. Today's fight is for freedom. I'm not for sale in my kingdom. My heart crying, believe me, hear my plea, set them free. We had enough, we need some justice. They treat them on practice. My love, but the disaster.
In my particular version of it, I say this is not just an African problem when they lose their lives, this is a basic violation of human rights. So irrespective of what color you are, if you believe that every person deserves to be free, whatever color they are.
According to the Munich Ordination of the Syrian Revolution, there is no alternative to the overthrow of Bashar al-Assad. Can you please tell me what's happening here?
Okay, we are from Syria.
Yes.
We are from Syria, Public Arab Syria.
Yes.
We are lived Syria since 20 years, it's coming now 8 years in Syria. We have a problem of the president, is Assad. Assad, he started to kill us because we are saying freedom. When we say the freedom, we need the freedom, just freedom, just to kill us, he kill us. We are now everywhere in the world.
Yes.
Everywhere. We are coming here around 1 million persons from Syria. Every day, in this moment, we are here. In Syria, Al-Assad, he's killing children there. He's bombing Syria and Idlib right now. The problem, everybody quiet when they see some people dying. They is dying without reason. They are quiet, or just keep quiet, silent. They just keep it mouth and just looking to that one. Crying sometimes if there is something bad news. We are crying, that's all. But the real things, we are here now, and there is people dying in Syria right now. And there is in Syria right now, people, they don't have food. They don't have electric, they don't have diesel, they don't have fire, they don't have anything, and they are dying without food. And we are looking like nothing. We are not talking about 1 person or 2 persons, we are talking about millions of children.
I filmed in Istanbul, Turkey, to see and experience firsthand the rich culture of the city. I wanted to show people the vast differences that exist within their culture and traditions. Welcome here in Istanbul, Turkey at the University of Marmara. I'm really grateful that I had an opportunity to come here and to engage the students and to engage people in the community and to share the different perspectives. Not far away from Marmara University is a coffee shop where I spoke with a gentleman, a former member of Istanbul PD, who I met online in early 2015 while doing the live broadcast about the 2016 presidential election in the US. He shared his story about his struggles and the challenges he faces, his family, and the 120,000 people who have been persecuted without a trial by the Erdogan government as the result of the failed coup in Istanbul.
I would like to all the community outside the foreign country to hear our voice. Most of them don't know their criminals.
Thank you so much. I will not forget about you and our conversation and your struggles and the hope that you have and your good heart. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. These, voices that were, supposed to be louder in this time. I needed your help when it comes to our conversation about when I'm seeking accountability or where are the voices of these countries. And I went from Munich to the Netherlands. Maybe I'm seeking for something, an answer.
People complain about how they're set up and they don't do enough. But all the main countries, the 5 big countries, permanent members of the Security Council, all gave themselves veto cards on anything and everything. Assad in Syria has Russia. Russia is a permanent member of the Security Council, so they can veto anything against Assad. But there are certain countries that have brought up resolutions to bring Assad to the ICC under War Crimes Acts. But, like I said, Russia is their buddy, so Russia can veto everything.
So there is no accountability and there's no way for these countries to help those countries that need help. It's
no,
because
unless you're a big boy. It becomes, unless you're the biggest person on the playground with the stick, you don't get to make rules in this world. It's just a simple fact of it. It sounds cruel, it sounds mean, but you want accountability, there is none.
So what you're telling me is the work that we're doing here is pointless and we're wasting our time because nothing is really going to happen. And all these countries who claim to be neutral and to be advocating for human rights, it's nothing going to happen. So we're wasting our time?
Thing is, when people do fucked up shit, they want to make sure they can get away with doing fucked up shit. That's why the Security Member Council set up their own little veto power.
Always a pleasure. And we are going to keep talking, and you never know. We might come up with solution with a little bit of solution here and there, and we put it together. We do it, and hopefully we can make a difference.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hussein Demirtash. I was a Turkish naval officer serving in the Turkish Armed Forces for 22 years. I'm 49 years old, married, and the father of 3 children. In short, I'm a human being just like you. I represented my country in different positions and different regions of the open seas, and lastly as military diplomat in Romania. I was dismissed from the service when I was one of the department heads of the Center of Excellence Against Terrorism, a NATO-accredited organization in Ankara. Now, I'm fighting against a genocidal terror dictatorship to serve my nation and humanity as an individual human rights activist, as a researcher, and as an author. I will share a very short summary of my story, which I refer to as an adventure. You may find more details of this summary in my book, which is available online, Erdocide, the creepiest human trauma. Something happened in Turkey on the 15th of July 2016. Hundreds of Turkish citizens were killed, thousands were wounded, and the regime of the Republic, which was founded by Atatürk in 1923, was dismantled and changed by a dictatorship on July 20th. While these all events were happening, I was in Romania, not Turkey. My 2-year mission was planned until the 15th of August, and due to that, 1 month after 15 July, I returned to my country. Immediately after my return, the genocidal bureaucracy first absurdly changed my previous assignment, detained, and tortured me. They detained me for killing and wounding people in Ankara when I was in Romania. There was no evidence to prove their slander, and desperately they released me after 1 week. 2 years later, I learned that the reason for my detention was blacklisting. This blacklisting had the signature of Alper Eser, a colonel whom I worked with during the past 2 years when I was in Romania. As you know, lots of Turkish soldiers in NATO and international missions were also falsely accused of being terrorists and were suddenly dismissed without any reason. So, the reason behind these dismissals was only this blacklisting, which I call genocidal execution list. Later, although I was not their employee, the Turkish naval forces suspended me by cheating and fraud. As I fought against the genocidal bureaucracy's injustices and illegal actions on me, they delivered me fake documents, such as records of testimony. Moreover, they covered all of my official complaints, and when I insisted on my fight, they eventually dismissed me from the service. The global and local public see the dismissals just as firings. But under Erdogan's illegal regime, these dismissals are absolute genocidal executions. I call it Erdocide. Following my dismissal, I changed the course of my struggle and started to fight for my nation's rights instead of my own. As long as I continued my strife against these criminals, they increased their level of illegality. Also, the process which they started with slander, accusing me of killing and wounding my fellow countrymen, continued with so many distortions and was concluded by adding my name to the international terrorists list. They fabricated indictments against me by showing me as another individual. They fabricated fake news about me. They used perverse trolls to organize social lynching against me. They took my wife and eldest son as hostages, and even fabricated another indictment against my wife. When these were happening in Turkey, the Turkish and global public were deceived by the genocidal bureaucracy. So what is Erdocide? Why I call the situation in Turkey as genocide? Due to the change of regime on July 20, 2016, rule of law and the other founding principles of the Republic, which were established by Atatürk, have been replaced by a permanent and illegal decree regime. Under this illegal dictatorship, a privileged clan was produced, and the state employees' wills and the community's wills were completely extorted. Through the use of previously fabricated genocidal execution lists, which were produced by blacklisting millions of Turkish citizens, from the very beginning of this dictatorship, innocent people were dismissed, detained, tortured, and even executed. Therefore, directly, more than 1.5 million citizens from every faction of society have been made socially, civilly, economically, spiritually, permanently, arbitrarily, selectively, brutally, willfully, and systematically dead. They all were sent to a sort of death row with their family members, including unborn babies and including unborn generations. Indirectly, the number of genocidal victims is at least 5 million. On this death row, more than 115 methods and tools are used for genocidal executions. On this death row, more than 100 citizens suffering a permanent social death were unable to endure this way of living. Unfortunately, they choose to end their unsustainable lives and committed suicide. Furthermore, as a result of being denied medical treatment or systematic torture, numerous citizens have been killed in prisons, detentions, and torture centers. Even pregnant ladies are being purposely detained, and some of their unborn babies were killed. This way of killing is a way of preventing births, which is an element of genocide. More than 550 Turkish citizens died or were killed in different ways. This massive victimization toll has always been put out of sight of the world public, and the execution of millions of people was degraded to a simple dismissal, purge, or firing. I name this systematic, permanent, prevalent, and massive way of killing of millions of people and their unborn descendants as a neo-modern genocide, Erdocide. How does this type of systematic genocide work? The main elements of Erdocide are a privileged clan, prefabricated genocidal execution lists, a captured genocidal bureaucracy, a silenced and guided media, a package of genocidal methods and tools. During the very first minutes of Erdocide, an absolute cleansing in the judiciary had been made by using genocidal execution lists. This cleansing enabled future genocidal activities to be easily implemented. It was a Nazi copycatting. Issuing illegal decrees, a privileged clan was produced. This clan gained absolute power in the state and was equipped with judicial immunity. Thus, they easily detained, arrested, suspended, dismissed, tortured, raped, plundered, and executed targeted citizens. The main thing they used was the genocidal execution lists, which were produced from previously prepared blacklists. This privileged clan also shaped the bureaucracy. This clan decided the assignments, promotions, retirements, purges, and dismissals. This privileged clan silenced the media and also shaped it. Later, this silenced media was effectively used for fabricating fake news, organizing social lynching against targeted citizens, terrorizing the society, and discriminating against the citizens by disseminating hate speech. The citizens whose names were written on the genocidal execution lists were presented to public as enemies of humanity, enemies of the state and society, harmful animals, traitors, infidels, hypocrites, and murderers. Moreover, some religious-looking actors declared that the wives of the targeted citizens were halal, I mean religiously allowed to rape. Their possessions were allowed to be plundered as trophies. The Religious Affairs Directorate also consented to these ISIS-like perversions. In this manipulated environment, all the layers of the society were shaped, terrorized, dissociated, and silenced. The global public was also misled by the dominant but deceptive discourses of Erdogan's genocidal bureaucracy. Everybody all around the world named these genocidal executions as only dismissals. Consequently, socially killings millions of people, massive and systematic tortures, and extensive violations of rights of all kinds became a routine. Moreover, this happened in plain sight of everyone, regardless of whether they were local or global, and with the consent of national and international institutions such as the European Court of Human Rights. What are the 115 methods and tools of Erdocide? Erdogan's genocidal bureaucracy deceived the entire world with some official speeches. He claimed that the decrees were limited to the dismissal of a small number of people who were affiliated with a terrorist organization, which he called FETÖ. But that is not the truth. It doesn't matter what you are or you are not, where you were on the night of July 15, 2016, inside Turkey or somewhere else in the world, what you did or didn't, whether you are alive or dead, born or unborn, retired or not. It's completely unimportant for the genocidal bureaucracy. Members of a genocidal criminal organization prepared genocidal execution lists, and the targeted citizens are put on death row accordingly. Because of that, the victims themselves and the global public are not able to find any answers to questions such as, why was I detained? Why were you dismissed? Why was he purged? Why was she arrested? Why were they targeted? The answer is this. There is no reasonable justification for that. The genocidal privileged clan decided so, arbitrarily, selectively, purposely. They simply added my, your, his, or her name to a genocidal execution list. It is so apparent and so simple. The methods and tools of Erdocide include elements from different types of genocide, including civil genocide, social genocide, political, ideological, economical, despotic, demographic genocide, legicide, liberticide, femicide, and filicide. When the genocidal bureaucracy decides to execute someone, the victim immediately loses all social, economic, human, and civil rights. They are made simply dead along with their unborn family members. In Erdocide, there is no time limit. It is everlasting. They code you, therefore, when your unborn grandchildren are born, they are already labeled as victims of genocide. They use also some tools as known as fetometer, which assign you some points to label you as a terrorist. For example, a retired veteran officer who was over 70 was executed with this genocidal tool. They claimed that his son used an application called Bylog, when in reality he didn't. Due to their calculation table, they gave him 2 points out of 4 and labeled him as a terrorist. According to their genocidal tool, they dismissed this retired veteran only because of the paternity link between him and his son. So, you see, it is not important what you did or not. This retired veteran became sick and died due to this severely insulting dismissal. While these tragedies are happening in Turkey, the world watches this new type of genocide silently, even with consent. But I need to tell you that Erdogan is both a threat to Turkish citizens and global peace and stability. Why? Each dictatorship is a threat to its own nation as well as to global peace and stability. Erdogan and his affiliated collaborators commit systematic genocidal crimes. Erdogan himself committed international crimes such as supporting ISIS, illegal money trafficking, crimes against humanity, and managing illegal arms trafficking in the Mediterranean by exploiting the Turkish armed forces, especially my beloved Turkish Navy assets. Again, such a person is always a threat to his own nation as well as to humanity. My call to the world: people are trying to pick sides. The principle is very simple. If we were to choose a side, justice has always been the most important value throughout human history. This has always been the case since the beginning of mankind's existence. The ultimate important value has always been justice. If it is necessary to stand for something, it is necessary to stand for rights. If it is necessary to stand with someone, it is necessary to stand with the righteous one. The world must see the brutal implementation of a neo-modern genocidal crime in Turkey, must unite against these crimes, and initiate an international independent investigation over both the events of July 15th and the massive crimes against humanity. This concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for listening. Your questions are always welcome. I am ready to answer all of your questions, and of course with official evidences. But I will tell you something. As long as I breathe, I will try to decorate everywhere with justice. And I invite you to take a part in this historical responsibility. Goodbye.
Hello everyone. I am Associate Professor Dr. Bayram Erzurumlu from Turkey. I am an academic. I used to work at a university in southeastern Turkey. But on 15th of July 2016, there was supposed to be a coup d'etat in Turkey, but I shall say mainly in Istanbul and Ankara. I was 1,000 kilometers away from Istanbul, 700 kilometers away from Ankara. I was at home sitting with my family, busy with ordinary things as any academic would do, trying to prepare lectures, trying to run some projects, trying to improve his students, if possible, take them to European countries as part of my projects, trying to write some articles, trying to run some research projects, this and that. And I was pretty busy with them anyway. But after all those things happened in Istanbul and Ankara, I was accused of being part of that coup d'etat, or having association with those people who launched that coup d'etat. There was no evidence, but as you know, in any authoritarian regimes, you need not to have any association with any criminal organizations, because authoritarian regimes just look for excuses and find some ways to criminalize and eliminate you. So I was a victim of that supposed to be coup d'etat, and I was sacked out of my job. 2-3 months later, I was put in police detention, kept there for 9 days for no reason. And since then it is now more or less 4 years. I couldn't return to my job. I couldn't prove my innocence because you cannot prove your innocence. They need to prove my guilt. But I was made to prove my innocence. Sorry, I couldn't prove my innocence. That's why I couldn't return to my job. But Erdogan regime couldn't kill my academic spirit. Yes, I am out of my job. I am no longer an academic teaching in a university. But I voluntarily started doing research of what happened in Turkey that made me a victim of it, plus not just me. At the first purge days, around 150,000 government employees were sacked from their jobs. But interestingly, only 15-20% of them were army personnel or policemen. But 80-85% were academics, teachers, engineers, doctors, you name it, all sorts of people who had nothing to do with coup d'etat or didn't have any arms anyway. What would doctors, academics, teachers do with guns or arms or this and that? So I decided to do a research, voluntary research. Nobody would sponsor me because it is not that easy. Whoever would call me or anyone who Erdogan government targets, even phoning them, talking to them, could mean that person would be associated with terrorism too. So I could only work with a few courageous people.
I look forward to hearing from you and seeing you during the live Q&A in a few days. I hope that you like what we're doing here because we're not done yet. We still have to do the round table, the face-to-face round table discussion in a town hall meeting to be held in different places in the world to complete this hybrid world forum. I thank you so much and I'll see you soon. Let's talk, it's time.